Good morning. We are day 168, I believe, of 365 days of morning routines and rituals with me, Carla Marie. Good morning. It's nice and early here this morning. It is Wednesday, the 19th of August today, and we will start our morning with our Luminous Humanist book, which gives us positive affirmations and quotes just to get us on the right foot for the day, right? So the 19th. Cool the ego's rhinestone-studded breeches. The ego calms down when it feels like it's the best, the luckiest, the most beautiful, and the most magnificent. Then there's the ego with all the pomp and circumstance can finally chill out because it feels its job is done. When your ego thinks it has all aspects of your life under control, the compliments, reassurance, money, security, and accolades, it melts its prickly armor, and lo and behold, there's suddenly a bandwidth available. Suddenly there's bandwidth and available room for your spirit to take over. Now imagine that by the power of magic, of the magic wand of your attention, Now imagine that by the power of the magic wand of your attention, you have disarmed the alarm, satisfied the insatisfiable, and can finally get the business of why your spirit incarnated here. Affirmation. With my ego calm, I can partner with my higher guidance to co-create my soulful life. Yes, we can. We're actually going to talk about that tonight. I'm doing a masterclass this evening on teaching some of the toolboxes, fundamental tools of learning self-love. And it is a follow-on to a story that I wrote. So this year, I did a 20-week writing course with Sally Newman where I learned how to write a story, how to structure a story, edit a story, publish a story, basically. And within that adventure, unfortunately, I had a significant amount of time off of the course while I helped my client move through life. And I had to ring Sally. I think we had about 5 weeks left. And on the first weekend when my client arrived, so this was back in June, July, so this was a couple of months ago, and I had to ring Sal and say, I just don't think I'm going to get a story out. Life is lifing, and I just couldn't see how I was going to fit finishing my story in while supporting someone 24/7. I didn't have space for myself, not my children. So how was I going to write? And so I made a very heartbreaking decision to call Sally and pull out. And that's where I thought it would end. And then another big pause happened, and I had a mental breakdown after caring for our client for 27 days. And I gave myself a few weeks to allow my body and my mind to regulate itself, to have nothing, to do nothing. And I'm so grateful that I did. And then one of the beautiful humans, Rachel from our course, reached out, and she has been moving through her own wobbles within this space. And I hope it's okay and she isn't upset if I share this, because she has shared it herself. She's moving through cancer treatment. If she can continue writing, surely I could. That's the way my mind immediately went when she reached out the other day. And so we're a little bit unwell with the flu after Zach got his facial tattoo. And so it was a really cool opportunity for me to create some extra space and to write. And I did. And I'm so grateful I did. And what I was able to do was get all of the bits that I had written over the few months that I was working with Sally and put it into a story structure. And it created a story called The Pause. And it's where I learned to stop abandoning myself, pardon me, in the moment of a wobble. Now, for me, a wobble is just that energy where we're not quite sure where we're going, but we're not going back to where we've been. And that uncertainty is wobbly. We haven't quite lost our footing, so we haven't fallen over and we're going backwards, but we're not quite sure what's next. And that period that some of us find ourselves in can create a lot of stories in our mind. And while I was navigating that, it was something I was aware of. And so I wrote about it because that's what I do. I journal about all of the things that don't work out for me. And so that gave me a really cool space to be able to write from. I was able to write through my trauma every week when I met up with Sally. She creates these spaces where you just intuitively write. She gives you a theme and you just pour out whatever the story is. One of my favorite snippets from that whole writing experience is the part in the story where I push a big button. And I think that day was probably my favorite writing day. But this is the fun of writing a story, right? We get to explore these different parts and different concepts of who we are and how our mind works. Then we can learn to articulate our story. Now, I've been journaling since 2019. You can imagine how many journals I have filled in that time. And my biggest bit of information or biggest trick that I can give anybody from that space when they're learning to write for themselves, write it. It doesn't matter what it is, just write it. There were some days where Sally would get us to write and you weren't allowed to take your hands off your keyboard or your hand off your pen, depending on how you wrote. And you would have 25 minutes and you have to write non-stop. Even if there's nothing to write about and you write that, this is ridiculous. Sally's making me write. And some of my pages have been filled with that. And then a story will eventually start to flow. You can get words out of the mind because your ego is no longer trying to block you. It's no longer trying to keep you safe from those events, because now you're teaching your mind that this is safe. These words can't hurt me any further, but I'm allowed to process what happened to me. I'm allowed to move through those areas of uncomfortability because I'm writing through them. It's a pretty cool thing. That's why I enjoy writing. Hope you enjoy reading my stories as well. But this is, that fun part of playing with our egos within those spaces and learning what the ego mind shares with us. And this is literally what self-love is all about. It's learning, what is your ego? Do you even know how your ego communicates to you? I do. Do you know how your higher self communicates to you? Because I do. Do you know what you need every single day to function as a human being, to wake up fulfilled? I do. And I'm going to teach you these things this evening in my free masterclass. I'm going to go live on Facebook as well because I actually feel like this information needs to be shared from a rooftop. I want everyone to know what learning self-love is. It is such an important toolbox to have. And even if the conversation we have tonight sparks something in someone to help them see something in a different way, my job is done. And that's what, the whole point of sharing is about, isn't it? So we all can move through it. so we don't get stuck in it, and we can evolve as human beings together in these spaces. It's a journey, right? And it's just learning what it is that we need in those spaces. And these are just things I've learned myself. I want to be really clear with that. Everything that I do, everything that I teach, everything that I share has come from my own lived experience. It is why if someone messages me asking me to share their business, the alarm went off and I turned it off and everything. But this is where we either resonate with something or we don't. And so it's really up to us to learn to sit in those spaces to work out what it is that we need. And I discovered all of these tools because of my own children. My eldest daughter has severe mental health and she has official diagnoses now, and she has bipolar. So I'm not going to sugarcoat where we're at as a family, but you can imagine what I was going through in her teenage years, not having any tools or knowing how to help her regulate her own nervous system, which is a really scary and worrying space to be, as any parent would know. And so I had to learn to help my daughter. I had to learn what those fundamental tools were to help move through these areas. And if I can share this information with someone else, then my job is done, right? I'm going to offer the free masterclass. It'll be from 7 o'clock tonight. I hope you can join us either on Zoom or as a free live call on Facebook. And I really hope that whatever we speak into tonight, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Like, let's have conversations around this stuff so you can understand it. And if something is sparked within you, I would love to have you a part of our self-love course as of Saturday, teaching you 4 weeks of fundamental tools, so that way when you are in your own wobble, you know what to do when you're going through it. That's what the tools are. It's teaching you how to journal your feelings, and what does that look like? What should you write? How should you write it? When should you write? I'm going to give you those tools, same as boundaries. What is a boundary? What kind of boundary should I put in? How do I create a boundary? We'll have those conversations. I found when I was moving through this that there was a couple of different categories within self-love, and it was like a 6-step process. But what I found within those spaces was what is the tools needed to actually be in love with self, right? This is what I share. All of the things I've either done myself, discovered, played with, used, experienced, everything is in this course. It's my life. And I really would love to just help someone else find themselves the same as our family did, and help someone else, feel better within themselves. All right, let's create a little gratitude intention, because we're doing 3 bits of gratitude. We're grateful for every single day. I am grateful again for waking up, like really grateful. And I'm grateful for my clients. I am meeting some incredible human beings in my workspaces now that I'm back, and I'm really enjoying reading and healing for all of you. The stories and the courage you have to walk through your own journey is beautiful, and I am grateful to be a part of that. And I am grateful for my manifesting tools, because my life is going to change very soon, and I'm very excited about that. I don't know how it's going to look. I don't know how we're going to make everything work, but I have the vision. I can see where we want to be, and that is really exciting. I can see us working on land, being on land, traveling back and forth between here and New Zealand. How that's all going to unravel, I do not know. I'm just so excited for the adventure. Over the last couple of weeks, since we've been navigating all of the things, my partner has become a trustee for some family land back in New Zealand. And we have discovered that he now has access to 27 parcels of land in New Zealand. One has a homestead already, and so he would like for us to go and help create sustainable living over there, create an orchard and farming and all of the cool things. And maybe in time we could run retreats from those spaces and all of the goodness. But oh my goodness, there is some really cool stuff there. And I'm just so grateful to be a part of the journey with him as he reclaims who he is. And I'm just grateful to be a part of it. What a journey, right? What an adventure. I've never really travelled outside of Australia except for Bali. And so the thought of living in 2 countries next year is pretty exciting. Not something I ever thought would be in my life's journey, but here we are. We'll see what unravels. So yeah, I'm here for it. I'm gonna wrap it up here. I have a house smudging and a reading or a healing to do today, so we're gonna have a busy day. Better get organized, and I have to merge some videos together now because of that alarm, but that's okay. I really hope I get to see you tonight, 7 p.m. for our live. Let's have some cool chats. Let's talk about nervous system regulation, self-love, and all of the things that we can do to help ourselves move through hard, because life is really freaking hard. The society structures are making it harder for us, and so let's find ways to come back to self together. All right, have the most gorgeous, wonderfulest, beautifulest Wednesday, and I really do hope I see you this evening.